I am in somebody else's Jeep Wrangler that has been totally outfitted for overlanding, and there's a lot of great components and some really cool details. And over the next 2 days, I'm gonna get to know this Jeep and I'm gonna share it with you. Just one problem. Mother Nature and I did not synchronize our schedules, and well, she decided to turn up the wind really high today. Yeah, that's great.
It's raining.
The right time. Welcome to TrailRecon. I'm Brad, and I am so glad to be out here in the desert. Even though the wind is howling, I'm in my good buddy Rich's 2022 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon Unlimited, and he has outfitted this thing for true adventures, and he's been gracious enough to allow me to borrow it for the next couple days. We're gonna come out here in the desert, one of my favorite spots, and camp overnight in it and just get to know this vehicle and share with you guys all the cool details. This is gonna be a whole lot of fun. I'm excited to kind of just take a deep dive and see what he's done to this thing. Just on the road, first impressions are really good. Now, what we need to do is I gotta get out of this wind. So we're gonna head down the trail a little bit. I'm gonna talk about how this thing drives. We'll get to camp, we'll do a big walk around of it, maybe cook up some dinner, camp a little bit, and really just take a hard look at all the cool stuff he's done on the inside. This is gonna be a lot of fun over the next 2 days, guys, and I think you're gonna really enjoy it. Let's just hope this wind dies down and we can find a good camp spot. This Jeep is a 2022 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon with the 3.6 liter e-torque engine. It has just over 8,500 miles on it so far, and it's the owner's daily driver. Rich says he weighed this in at about 5,980 pounds, but when it's fully loaded for a week-long adventure, it weighs just shy of 6,200 pounds. I'm excited to be driving Rich's Jeep because he is very detail-oriented, and I know I'm going to discover some clever details that you may not find on other builds. Plus, I've never driven an upfitted AEV conversion like this one, and he has the JL370 package from AEV, so I'm looking forward to getting more familiar with this kit. You know, what an opportunity to borrow somebody else's Jeep and just kind of immerse yourself in it a little bit. It's one thing to, you know, walk by and see what people are doing, but it actually spend some good quality time driving and camping out of somebody's vehicle. It's a pretty unique experience, and I love checking out what folks are doing because, you know, you always take away something that maybe somebody has figured out a solution to a problem, and there's more than one way to outfit an overland vehicle. And I've already seen a couple things that have kind of caught my eye. I'd be like, oh, maybe I'll have to do that in mine. And I'll show you when we get to camp some of those suggestions. I think you guys are going to find this pretty interesting. Now, I want to talk about the ride quality of this Jeep first. I'll get into the specifics when we find camp, where hopefully we will find a spot out of the wind. But this is on 2.5 inches of lift, 37-inch tires, and with the rooftop tent, the awning, and the roof rack, you would think it would feel a little kind of, I don't know, wobbly on the road, and it doesn't. The suspension is very dialed. It felt very nice on the road. Not firm, but also I didn't feel a lot of body roll. And out here on the trail, it rides really nice. This is a little bit of a washboard road. There's a couple little ruts here and there, but it soaks it up perfectly. This suspension, it's very nice. And again, we'll talk specifics when we get to camp, which hopefully my favorite spot out here is open because it should give us some protection from the wind. But it is beautiful out here. There's layers of mountains off in the distance, some clouds. Just get rid of that wind, we'd be good. So I'm just now coming in this canyon, and the wind has died down in here, which is good, and hopefully there's nobody at my favorite camp spot. One thing I feel bad for Rich, and that is he was coming back from Easter Jeep Safari in Moab just this last week, and bam, his window got hit with a rock. Typical Jeep Wrangler thing, you know, you crack your windshield. Unfortunately, it's right in the driver's view, and so he's got to get that fixed. But this isn't his first window, and he was telling me that there's a little bit of a challenge having an aftermarket stereo and trying to recalibrate the adaptive cruise controls. For whatever reason, the aftermarket stereo doesn't allow them to sync really well. I know they're working on something, but right now he's got a couple little messages on his dash. So if all goes well, he'll be able to get that sorted here soon. So I love this canyon. It's just gorgeous in here. All right, fingers crossed, we're gonna make it to camp here in just a mile or two. All right, moment of truth. This is probably my favorite spot in the Anza Borrego Desert. And if you've been following the channel for any length of time, you've probably seen me out here a few times. It's just a great, quiet, off the trail area. And on windy days like this, you can get some nice shelter. And thankfully, we do have this entire place all to ourselves. Well, this is awesome. It's still probably gonna be a little windy in here, but this will work for this evening. Perfect. Okay guys, so I was kind of afraid of this, but the wind is still kicking through this canyon pretty good. It's not as bad as it is outside of the canyon by any means. It's much nicer in here. However, there's no way that you guys are going to be able to hear me through this wind on camera. So I'm going to have to improvise a little bit. I'm going to pull you off the tripod and we're going to walk around. I'm just going to do a little narration about the cool products and bolt-ons and gear that he's got on the outside of this Jeep. And then I will set up camp, and I have not been given any instructions on how to set up this rooftop tent, so we will figure that out. Cook some dinner, and then in the morning, I'm going to show you what I think are some of the coolest features on the inside of this Jeep. It's got this thing well outfitted. But first, I need to get rid of this sweatshirt because it's hot. Rich's Jeep is Stingray Gray, and for me, this is near the top of the list of my favorite Jeep colors. And with the black accents and the black wheels, it's just a clean but tough look. The stance on this Jeep is perfect, and at first glance, there is no doubt this thing is built for adventure. Starting at the front of the Jeep, it has the AEV RX front bumper, which has a large hoop to protect the grille and allow you to mount some front-facing off-road lights. Here he has the 7000 series AEV spots. One thing I always thought was a little odd with this hoop was the design for the front-facing camera. Kind of looks like an alien head sticking in the middle, but it is very functional. There is a Warn Evo VR 12,000 pound winch neatly tucked inside the bumper. Plus, on the bottom of the bumper, there is a location to mount a light bar. And here he has a Baja Designs amber light. One thing I really like about the AEV bumper is it keeps the factory fog lights. It's just a good looking bumper. Now, behind the bumper, you may have noticed there is some carbon fiber. That's because this is a new prototype carbon fiber grille from Anderson Composites. It's a nice alternative to the standard blackout grille and a very custom look. Plus, Rich was telling me they are working on some carbon fiber fenders and some hood prototypes. That you might see some of those on his Jeep in the future. Under the hood is the 3.6 liter e-torque engine that I mentioned earlier, and it puts out 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. And paired with the 8-speed automatic transmission, it does drive well down the road. But with these 37-inch tires and all the weight, and the fact that he's still got the 410 differential gears, it could use a little upgrade. And I know he has plans to upgrade to some Curry axles with some 488 gears, which should make this Jeep feel a little more peppy on acceleration. The rest of the engine bay is very clean and mostly stock. He did upgrade to an Optima yellow top battery, and he has mounted his S-Pod Bantam in here, which is how he is able to wire up all his accessories. And I'll show you where he has conveniently mounted the controller when we move to the interior. Now for wheels, tires, and suspension. So Rich has 37 by 12.5 R17 Patagonia XT tires on here. And these are a nice, durable tire, and I can attest they are very quiet on road and they perform just fine out here in the sand. They are wrapped around some AEV Salta XR wheels, and these are a great looking wheel. There's just one thing about these wheels that concerns me a little, and that is the valve stem kind of sticks out a little bit. I would like to see an off-road wheel like this offer that valve stem with a little more protection. But overall, they're a great looking wheel. Now, in order to run 37-inch tires, you've got to have some clearance. And so this has a 2.5-inch AEV DualSport XP suspension lift, and it's got the Bilstein XP 8100 remote reservoir shocks. AEV does a great job of making their kits to support the weight of expedition vehicles like this, and I think that's why this thing rides so well down the road and on the trail. It's a great combination for this setup. Another thing about this kit is that it utilizes a lot of the OEM Rubicon parts. So they just use a few drop brackets, some sway bar end links, some bump stops, and some other little bits and pieces. It's really good because if you need to upgrade or replace something when you're out and about, it's easy to find OEM parts. But aside from the steering stabilizer, everything else under here is stock. Again, he does have plans to upgrade the axles, which will be a huge asset to this Jeep. Also, underneath the Jeep here, he does have a full belly pan aluminum skid plate system from Artec Industries. This is an excellent, well-designed kit. It doesn't add a lot of weight because it's aluminum, but it offers some great protection. Just about anybody that's doing some serious off-roading needs to think about a kit like this. Now moving to the outside of the Jeep at the A-pillar, there's something very clever here. So he's got some A-pillar lights, but he's got one pair of ambers that are facing forward, and then he's got another pair that he's bolted to that one that works as a ditch light, so it's facing out just a little bit. This is a really clever design, and what I really like is he's got them wired independently, so you can either shine them forward, you can shine them off to the side, or you can do both. Nice job on this one, Rich. I think this is something that many folks might consider doing. On top of the Wrangler is Rich's rooftop tent, and this is by Go Fast Camper. This thing is a solid tent, and if you look closely, you'll notice there's no roof rack. He has mounted this tent directly to the Rhino Rack backbone system. That's a really nice way to mount this. It keeps it low profile, and you don't have the extra weight of a rack. He did a great job with this. Now, I've never seen or slept in a Go Fast camper, and so I didn't really know how to open this. And I will tell you, just a couple latches, and it opened super fast. It was very easy to do. All the fabric, all the zippers, everything on the Go Fast camper, I was very impressed with. There's also two very heavy-duty crossbars on top of the rooftop tent, and that will allow you to mount some storage boxes up there, or maybe you can even throw a kayak up there. Lots of potential for that. Now, one thing that is interesting is you can't store the ladder inside the tent. So Rich has devised a really cool setup inside the Jeep where he's got this MOLLE system, which we'll talk a lot more about tomorrow, where he mounts the ladder, and this ladder is easy to set up and it clears the vehicle, so you don't have to worry about it, hitting the fenders or anything like that. It's a nice, clean design. I'm really happy with this rooftop tent. Also, on the side of the rooftop tent, Rich has mounted a 270-degree awning, and this is from Rome Adventuring Company. Now, because of this wind, I am not setting up the awning, but if you needed it on a nice, calm day, you've got it. Now moving to the rear of the Jeep, you'll see here, this is the AEV bumper with tire carrier. And I gotta be honest with you, this is something I've been eyeballing for myself personally because the Jeep Wrangler 392 needs a little extra fuel, and you have a 10-gallon fuel caddy that you can use with this specific bumper. I like the look of the bumper, I like the sturdiness of it, but I really like this caddy. And so this is something that I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but now that I've seen this in person, I'm really, really considering it. It's a great design.
Now, underneath the back here is something very special. Now, my buddy Rich works for MagnaFlow, and so of course he has the MagnaFlow Overland exhaust under here. This is a great design. There's all kinds of functionality with this thing. You can adjust kind of how the tone is. He's got this set up for quiet mode, and I'll tell you, on the road and on the trail, it's perfect. Here's how it sounds with a little bit of a bee buzzing around. That sounds pretty good. Now, time to go set up camp a little bit. First thing I'm going to do, though, is get my camping chair, which I brought my personal chair. I love this chair. This is the Front Runner chair. It's easy to set up. It's got this nice case. I've been using this chair for many years. And if you're interested in getting this type of chair, I will leave a link down below. You can check it out over at TrailRecon.com. We've got all kinds of gear to outfit your next adventure. All right, time to chill out a little bit and figure out what I'm going to do for dinner.
Well, okay. I'm sure that you can hear them. If not, you can see them. There's at least 24 bees flying all over the place right now, and they're just looking for moisture. I had my can of water, and as soon as I finished it, man, they were just dive bombing in there to get it. And of course, the yellow GFC tent, they just love that as well. So as the sun sets, I'm sure that they will move on, but they're not bugging me. They're just flying around looking for moisture, so no big deal. Now, I did walk to the top of this canyon here just to see how the wind is, and it is awful up there, so we're definitely better here. I've got you kind of blocked with the Jeep right now, and thinking about cooking dinner here in a little bit, but I want to talk about that tent a little bit. I have used several rooftop tents over the years, and I've seen many of them, but this is the first time I've seen a GFC one up close and used it and figured out how the latches were to see how fast that's set up, and just the quality of it, how quickly it's set up. Pretty impressed. I don't know what that sells for. I'll put a link down below for that, and we'll see what the mattress is like tonight. But I really like that. I'm not in the market currently for a rooftop tent, but I think if I was, that's a pretty good option. All right, I'm gonna hang out with the bees for a little bit longer and then start dinner.
As I was kicking back, relaxing in my chair, I was paid a visit from the sky. These guys were directly over me, and they flew over a few times, but I guess the bright orange rooftop tent is an easy sight from the sky, so they were probably just checking out this really cool campsite. That's the sound of freedom right there, everyone.
Well, first I was getting buzzed by bees, and now I'm getting buzzed by gunships. How cool was that? They just flew like right over the top of me this last time. They doing some kind of circle out here or something. Look, I took a little sandwich container that I had from lunch and put some water in it and set it out about 30 yards that way, and the bees have left. I will be sure to take that with me. I'm not leaving my trash here, but it was a way to get rid of the bees. It worked really well. They're all hovering over there and drinking their water and doing their thing. Okay, I'm gonna cook dinner. Nothing fancy, but I'm gonna cook tonight, and I brought everything I need. Now, Rich told me that this Jeep is completely outfitted, and tomorrow morning when we start digging into everything, we'll take a look at stuff, but I don't want to use his cooking gear and his utensils and stuff, so I brought my own stuff, and so I'm gonna cook up. I am using his little cooler. He's got a cooler here for now. He said he is gonna be putting a fridge in here soon, but this works pretty good, and I also brought my Dometic water container. So I'm gonna set up and start cooking some dinner. Okay, check this out. I just discovered something very clever. Nice job, Rich. So inside here, he's got two magnetic lights that are attached to the Rhino Rack backbone system. And then up here, he's put a metal strip on the little motor for the windshield wiper. And check this out. Now you've got a light right there. Plus, this is an aluminum tailgate, but he put a little pad right there. And so that's not going anywhere either. And now you've got light in both areas to make it nice and easy to cook. Nice job, Rich. That's really clever. I like this idea right here.
nice hot dinner at camp. And those of you who watched my last video when I was out here may have noticed that I had a cold hot dog for dinner. That is way better. Nice hot meal. This is good. Okay, the wind is supposed to be going until about 3 in the morning according to my Zoleo weather notification. So hopefully we'll be okay down here. You can still see it and hear it howling above, but down here it's just a light breeze, not bad. I'm gonna enjoy my dinner, clean up, relax, and hit the bed early, and then get up in the morning, make some coffee, and we will take a close-up look of Rich's Jeep. A good day out here, and a good meal. Alright guys, well I am 2 cups of coffee in and I am full of joy. What a beautiful morning. The only thing that can make it better is if there was some friends or family out here with me, but you know, sometimes it's nice just to come out and just have a little peace of quiet, clear your head a little bit. Alright, let's take a deep dive into the back of Rich's Jeep. And now, he did give me permission to get inside his cubbies and see what he's got. That's kind of the deal here. I want to see how folks outfit their things. So we're gonna open up some of this stuff and see what he's carrying. But let's just start with the Goose Gear. So he's got the full Goose Gear outfit. So he's got the Goose Gear tailgate table, and this is a nice solid table, latches, no rattling, I can attest, because we were on some good washboard roads yesterday. No problem there. He's done the rear seat delete, so he has no rear seats, and he's only got storage on 1/2 here because he says in a pretty nasty storm, instead of climbing up in the rooftop tent, he will just sleep back here. He's a little shorter than I am, but I have slept in the back of my Jeep in some pretty nasty weather, specifically in Death Valley when we had like 45-mile-an-hour winds. I was like, I'm out, and I just slept in the back of the Jeep. It's a little tight, but you can do it, and it will work. It works for a lot of folks, and that's the nice thing. When you delete those seats, you open up a lot of storage space, and it's just a good piece of kit. Over here he's got his fridge slider, and his is a little different than mine. So his comes out where the fridge comes out, but then on mine I have a shelf up here up top, but he has a little storage on the bottom here, and he's got some pretty cool stuff in here. First of all, he's got his first aid kit. He's got his little Jeep tools that would be in your glove box normally. This is a very fun game to play at camp if you've ever been there. He's got some straps, some tie downs. Of course, you've got the fix-all, which is some Gorilla Tape. He's got everything in here. He's actually done a really good job packing this. In fact, I feel kind of bad that I'm messing with it because it's in here nice and tight, so it doesn't rattle around. But I want to check out this little utensil kit that he's got right here. This looks pretty cool. So this is the Veteran Overland kit, and it's branded by MagnaFlow. Rich works for MagnaFlow, good friend of mine. Oh yeah, he's got a lot of good stuff in here. So all the basics, knives, utensils, lighter. It's a nice little roll, and that fits in there perfectly. That's a good little place to put that. Okay, up top he's got looks like a pad. I'm not sure what these canvas are, and this looks like, oh yeah, this is one of those electric pads. So you can plug this into like your 12-volt, and that'll warm you up on a cold night. Put that underneath like your sleeping bag. That's pretty good. What I like is just some of the other cool stuff. Put that in there. Over here, he's got these little bags that are wrapped around the roll bar in the Jeep. This one, he's got some straps in here. This one, it looks like he's just got some odds and ends, but that's a nice little way to optimize that space, because sometimes we just don't put anything in there. So those are pretty cool. And let's see what he's got underneath here. So Rich is very meticulous, and obviously he's cleaning. So he's got a couple brooms, a little dustpan. I'm gonna guess those are ratchet straps, which is good to have always. You can fix a lot of stuff with ratchet straps. There's a lock in there, and it looks like a blanket, and of course another fix-all
lots of zip ties. I think that's it for the back. Let's hop in the side and let's see what's in the rest of these little cubbies. All right, really quick before we hop in the back of Rich's Jeep, there's two things that I need to do. One, the sun's starting to come up, so I'm gonna move over there where I know we'll have shade for a little bit longer. But two, the bees are at it again this morning. And look, they're just doing their thing. They're not bothering me. They're just all over the place. And so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the rooftop tent away and get rid of this big yellow beacon. I did the water contraption thing yesterday. That worked really well, but I don't wanna have to do that again and then worry about kind of getting them away. So I've cleaned that up, and what I'm going to do is just move over there, and hopefully they'll just give me my space, fingers crossed, and then we're going to dig in here. All right, I think that's a little bit of a reprieve from the bees. They're still flying around, but hopefully they'll stay over there. I dumped some water in the ground, and maybe that'll make them happy. All right, in the back here, there's one interesting thing that we should mention. So I talked about him sleeping back here, and he's got this little kit right here, this little roll, and I asked him, I'm like, Rich, what is this? And he says, this is a blackout kit for the windows. So there are covers in here with little suction cups that you put on the windows when you're sleeping inside, and this blacks it out. This is a nice little roll. He said it was easy to find online, real cheap, and he stuffs this in behind his front driver's seat. I had to pull it out because I'm a little taller than him, but that's a pretty good deal if you're going to be sleeping inside your Jeep. Over here, he's got his sleeping pad tucked away. That's always a good place to just kind of store things. And then he's got this big roam box, which is strapped down. Always strap your gear down, guys. All right, I've got this unstrapped, and just turn it around to make it easy to see. I like the hinges on that. I have an old roam case, but it doesn't have hinges like that. That's pretty cool. Inside, there's two bags, and that's cool because now you can, instead of just throwing stuff in here, you can divide your stuff and keep it nice and organized. Rich is obviously very organized. In here, it looks like he's got some lanterns and a big old Duracell power station here. He's got a couple plugs in there, so that way you can charge up your gear when you're out on the trail. That's pretty nice. And on this side, he's got some cooking gear. So he's got this little pot and pan. That's like an old military style kit right there. He's got some butane canisters. And then he's got his stove in here, and I'm not sure what's in this little kit. Let's take a look here. Oh, that's his little stove right there. Very nice. That's a good place to keep your big bulky gear like the batteries and stove and stuff. All right, let's see what he's got underneath here. All right, one of the cool things about the Goose Gear plate system is you have 4 little cubbies underneath. Now, Rich has opted to not have the side panels on here, so you have easy access to quick things like this. And I don't know what these are, Rhino Boxo cases, but I like them because they have kind of a see-through panel on here, and you can kind of see what's in there. And it looks like there's some kind of glues and tapes and stuff in here. I'll open that up and just kind of see. Oh yeah, there's even a couple fuses and stuff in there, so that's nice to have on quick access. And then this one has, oh yeah, it's a tire repair kit. So those are pretty nice. In here, he's got, what are these? This looks like a power tank case. I'm not sure what's in here. Oh, that's a diagnostic tool from Innova. So you plug that into your OBD2 port, and if you have an engine code or something, you can read that. I don't carry one, but I've always thought about doing it. Maybe I will. I like that little case too. Another power tank case as well, and he's got a voltmeter, and oh wow, Rich is going big. So he's got an Innova, and this is like a camera scope. So if you need to get down and see somewhere, that's pretty nice to have. I like how small this is. Okay, pretty cool. In here, it looks like this is kind of his tool tire repair kit. There's a bunch of pliers and stuff in this one. Again, one of those Rhino Boxos. And then there's a couple tool rolls, and I'm going to say that there's probably wrenches and hammers and all kinds of goodies in there. I'm not going to pull those out and break them open, but I like how well he has just compartmentalized this with all this pieces of gear. He doesn't have stuff just laying all over the place. I think I'm gonna maybe look into getting some of these or something similar. I like that a lot. Nice job, Rich. All right, let's see what's behind door number 2. Okay, it looks like we got blankets and stuff, and I wonder, is this a 12-volt blanket? Oh yeah, there's a cord right there. Having a 12-volt blanket that you can plug into your little power system, like his little Duracell that he's got in that roam case,
You put that under your sleeping bag and that will keep you very warm throughout the evening. Looks like there's some other blankets. Looks like there's a small chair in here. That's about it. That's a pretty small compartment, so check that out. And then on the back of his seats where the Jeep has the MOLLE system, he's got a little Leatherman. Oh, in here he's got a couple handheld radios. Always nice to have backup radios. And then in this one, looks like we have an air freshener and, oh, this is like some personal care issue. Pack it in, pack it out, guys. So make sure you have all that stuff on the ready. So these little compartments here make easy access for that kind of stuff. It's a good place. I like that Jeep did the MOLLE system. All right, let me put all this away just as I found it and switch over to the other side. All right, that sun is coming up behind me quick. So it's gonna get warm out here in the desert today. It's supposed to be in the 80s, and I think in about another month, it just won't be coming out here anymore because it's gonna be way too hot. So again, more of these little cubbies here. Looks like he's got, oh, this is just some oatmeal and some Swiss Miss and kind of some granola bars. So he's got some goodies in there. And then what's in this one here? Oh, lights and headlamps. So easy access to that stuff. That's really nice. All right, in this one, I'm not sure what he's got, but again, he's got a lot of bags. And these bags are Convoy Corp. And that looks, oh, that's a tire deflator and an air gauge. He's got toe strap. So I think this is just kind of recovery gear. Oh my gosh, Rich, dude, those are some serious zip ties. I like that. Actually, I probably should carry some of those. I'm not sure what's in here. Oh, more recovery gear. Looks like, yeah, a lot of recovery gear. I'm not sure what's in this one. There's a hard case inside of this. Ah, yeah, keep the mosquitoes away. Yeah, that's a good piece of kit right there. That's a thermocell, and he's got some rope in here, just a bunch of little odds and ends. And then, yeah, more recovery gear in here, kind of the heavy stuff. So, nice. I like how he's compartmentalized that really well. All right, let's put this away. We'll see what's under the other one. All right, the last compartment here, we'll take a look. And it looks like we've got a, is this a little stair step? Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, for you guys that need a little extra height, there's a step stool. Got a blanket in here, and then, oh, okay. So Rich was telling me he has his air compressor bolted in here, and this is a dual air compressor that he got from, I think he said he got it from Napa Auto Parts or something like that. But it is less expensive than some of those standard ones you would buy, and he said it works pretty good. So he's got it bolted here to the Goose Gear system. I like that. I didn't air down the tires, so I actually won't be testing this, but it does look like a pretty good kit. And Rich, he says it works well for him. So, all right, there you go. A couple things to talk about in the front, and then I think that's a wrap. All right, now in the cockpit of the Jeep, he's got a really simple and nice layout. We'll start up top here where he has the S-Pod controller mounted. So that's the LCD screen, allows you to control all those lights. And he's got it wired up very neatly and then attached to the grab handle here. Just a good place out of the way. And he really likes that because it still allows him to close his visor if he needs to. On the dash here, he's got the RAM mount with a phone holder. I think this is a Scosche phone holder. And then he's got the Stinger radio system in here, and that just gives you a much nicer, larger screen. Very clean, has Apple CarPlay, all the goods. A very nice backup camera, I might add. And then down below here, he's got a rugged radio, GMRS radio. And I like how he has his microphone set up. So he's using, again, one of those Scosche magnet holders. And he basically just, that just sits right there. I like that. That's pretty easy, out of the way, very nice. The only thing, and I have my radio here so I know this, is that if you try to pull the seat forward, you can't go all the way forward because the radio blocks it. But that's exactly where I have my radio. It's just kind of one of those things that you live with. So, all in all, Rich, dude, I like your Jeep a lot. You've done a great job with this thing. And guys, I would love to hear what is your favorite thing on this Jeep. I think there's a lot to like, and I think some of the things I'm going to take away, definitely some of the ways he's compartmentalized stuff in the bags and the boxes. I think he's done a great job with that. All in all, I've had a great time out here, but now it's time to head home. I hope you guys have enjoyed hanging out with me. Make sure you check us out over at TrailRecon.com. Until next time, we'll see you in the next video.